Continuing coverage. It's been nearly 2 months since a snowstorm knocked out power for more than a quarter of Menominee County, as well as thousands of others living in counties nearby. And tonight, crews are still assessing damage left behind. Emergency crews say heavy snow and strong winds rocked the county's power grid. Now, the storm snapped miles of power poles, leaving more than 15,000 people in the dark for several days. It's a situation that the emergency management coordinator says led crews to look closer at the power equipment to see how well it will hold up should the area see similar storms in the future.
There was areas where there would be 10, 12 power poles in a row completely snapped off.
Downed power lines and broken limbs due to heavy snow are all familiar to Upper Michigan when it comes to late winter storms. But even the expected can become overwhelming given the right conditions.
We haven't had a storm with that widespread of effect probably 10 years or better, you know. Probably the first time we lost it for such a duration that I've ever dealt with or seen.
Over 10,000 customers still without power in Menominee.
Beginning on the night of April 2nd, a late season storm crept its way across the southern counties from Wisconsin with wet snow and high winds. Menominee County Emergency Management Coordinator Tom Phillips prepares for these kinds of events, but says keeping up with this particular storm was a challenge.
When it hit, it was a very rapid transition from heavy rains the heavy wet snow. Just the whole mixture caused a very massive amount of damage to our electrical infrastructure. We had a lot of poles snapped off, a lot of trees on lines, taking lines down.
Substation damage spiderwebbed elsewhere throughout the county, causing a strain on resources and delaying response times. A factor in focus on the week of the storm by WPPI Energy Senior Services Manager Brett Nemi.
The infrastructure in the area really took a big hit. Not only did Elgin Delta's lines get damaged during the storm, but infrastructure that delivers power to our substations also got damaged.
The outage durations changed depending on where you were in the county. In Stevenson, some lost power for 10 hours or more. Just south in Menominee, nearly a quarter of residents were without power, many of whom were in the dark for several days. Some of the longtime residents that I spoke with here in Menominee County say aside from a maybe 8 to 10 hour long outage in the past, this was some of the longest time that they've had without power, some 2 to 3 days, and at one point more than 10, even 11,000 residents without electricity. And according to the emergency management coordinator, some of the damage still remains. So according to him, while they're still estimating the sheer cost of that amount of damage that was done, there's no knowing the extent just yet. But according to WEC Energy Group Senior Communications Specialist Amy Johns, that 11,000 residents without power grew to more than 15,000 in a matter of hours. That led WEC to check the county's infrastructure. They wanted to know how long had it been since those damaged poles and substations were maintained. Johns says crews did so routinely. Since 2021, more than 7 miles of overhead lines have been entirely replaced in areas critical to the power grid. 20 more miles will be replaced between now and 2026. In 2023, 2,400 poles were inspected in Menominee County, and in the 3 months leading up to the 2024 storm, 2,600 more poles were on the ongoing schedule for inspection.
Stuff is very well maintained, very well, watched, and it's very rare that we have outages, and it takes an awful intense storm to cause.
Phillips says the response to such a significant severe weather event involved significant collaboration between agencies, including the National Weather Service. And tomorrow we'll take a look at how response was organized between those agencies and what crews are doing to prepare for similar events in the future.